Welcome to Savvy Seniors. So nice to have you here with us. I'm Mary Dilly.
And I'm Sarah Ferry.
And today on the show, we have Amal Helbah, and she is a financial advisor with RBC, and we're going to be talking about retirement plans. So, Amal,
Yes.
I'm 62. When should I have started to plan for retirement?
Well, first and foremost, Mary, you do not look 62, but good job.
Thank you.
And what can we do about planning for retirement? There's so many things we can do. And let's face it, too, we have to think of retirement as the next phase of our lives. It's not just a one-stop, we just immediately turn into retirement. There's different stages of retirement, too, which is very important for us to kind of keep in mind. So let's say, for example, we've worked all of our lives, we finally retire. It doesn't all look the same. So we were just talking about traveling just before we, got on the show. And originally, like in the beginning of our life stage in retirement, we like to do a lot of the things that we just didn't have time for before.
Right.
So it's important to kind of know that retirement stages also mean different things financially.
Okay.
So we might spend a lot more money in our earlier retirement years to, catch up on the things that we weren't able to do, the big travel trips, the maybe there's, family that we haven't seen in a very long time that now we have time to go for 3-4 weeks at a time.
Right. You also might have grandchildren that you want to take away on trips.
Absolutely, absolutely. Grandchildren, even just friends that we haven't seen. We were talking about connecting on Facebook with, friends that we haven't seen in so long.
Right.
Maybe there's some of those things there that we can kind of start thinking, what does that look like now at 62 versus 70 versus 80?
Right.
One of my very good friends, she's one of my best friends, and she's 82, and she just left to go to Arizona.
Oh, that's wonderful.
I know, and she's such a world traveler. She loves to golf, and she's a very active 82-year-old.
Mm-hmm.
And one of her biggest challenges right now is not because she can't do it. It's because health insurance now is costing her $800 to $1,000 a month every time she goes away.
Right.
So it's not because she doesn't want to do those things. It's because now we have to start thinking about money and cents. Does it, can we still do all those things that we want to do? And how do we plan for that? What does that look like?
Right. And so as someone who does want to sort of travel when the time is right, what would you suggest doing then to make sure that your investment portfolio can carry you through so that you're able to do all of the things that you do want to do in your stage of retirement?
Plan, plan, plan. I think one of the things I tell clients at any age is go into whatever type of goal that you're saving for with eyes wide open. So it's one thing for, unfortunately, clients that come to me, let's say in their mid-60s, and they're saying, Amal, it's time. I can't do it anymore. I'm ready for retirement. And one of the hardest things to tell a client at that stage in life is saying, the numbers don't add up. Mm-hmm. But if we could have done this 10 years ago or even 20 years ago, the plan might have been very different because we could have planned for it differently. But having the eyes wide open, get a very clear picture on what that goal looks like now, 10 years from now, 20 years from now. And that way we have the ability to make adjustments. And it could be adjustments in the way that we spend money, in the way that we look at money, the way that we live our lifestyle, maybe the things that we can sacrifice right now versus, in our 60s to say, well, the last thing I want to tell a client is you have to go back to work.
Right.
Unless you want to work, which a lot of clients still do like to work even well into retirement. But I'm hoping that that's not a forced decision, that it's something that you do because you want to do it.
No. And I think that's fantastic advice, sort of having a clear goal and the steps that you would take moving towards that goal. Because I find when you haven't set forth what it is that you want to do, that's when you don't get there necessarily.
My mom started a savings plan for me in my 20s.
Oh, fantastic.
And I've now done that with my kids. So would you say that the time to start would be in your 20s?
Even earlier. Honestly, Mary, like my kids now are 26 and 24. And at a very young age, when they're like maybe 14 or 15, and I remember when my son was, you know, the big thing is technology. You know, whatever he had last year is outdated. He wants the new
Right.
thing. And he was, you know, begging, you know, Mom, I really need a new MacBook, and, you know, it's going to cost $1,500. And he had a MacBook, and so, and it's hard for, you know, as parents to say no to your kids, but sometimes it's really necessary because you have to teach them these life lessons.
Right.
And he would, you know, he had a part-time job, and so I went over it with him one month, and I said, well, look, this is how much money you've spent on your lunches. This is how much money you've spent on, you know, things like coffee or trinkets or whatever it is. And there was $900 of spending. And I said, you know, 2 months and you could have had your brand new MacBook, no
Right.
problem. And a light bulb just kind of went into his head, and he said, you know, okay, I get how savings actually work towards an end goal.
Right.
So if that means, you know, I don't go for lunch with my friends, or I don't spend it on, I don't want to say frivolous things, but
Right.
obviously things he doesn't need.
Right.
Right.
And right away he started thinking, okay, I'm going to start saving now. And sure enough, he got the new MacBook, and he didn't ask Mom for help. And I think giving your kids that empowerment to feel that they're also in charge of knowing what the cost of things are, knowing that they can actually control their own savings is really important too. So definitely in your 20s, absolutely, but even as younger children, and I'm hoping that the school system, I hear that from a lot of parents all the time, of saying, I wish somebody would have taught me this in school.
Right.
Right.
And I think hopefully that that's going to resonate with a lot of the educators of saying these are important life skills that kids need to know in high school, maybe even earlier, about how money works and what the value is.
Yeah, I've never used algebra once. No. Not once. Or Latin. I went to private school. I've never used Latin once. Talk to us about the pension plans, the Canada pension plans, because we all assume that as we get older, we're just going to have this amount coming into our bank account every month, and sometimes it's not what you think.
Oh, absolutely, because we do think that, so the Canada Pension Plan right now, if you have full service in the Canada Pension Plan, you're looking about a little bit over $1,200 per month.
Okay.
And then your old age security, depending on your residency, is about a little less than $700 per month.
Okay.
So between the two, you're looking at $1,800 per month in government benefits. There's also the guaranteed income supplement. This is for families with less than a certain threshold of income. And I believe that number is about $18,000, but don't quote me on that, but it's about $18,000, and then you receive an additional supplement on top of it. So those pension plan benefits are very good to know, again, ahead of time of what does that look like, because they have qualifiers to them. So the Canada pension is how much do you contribute into the Canada
Right.
pension. Self-employed individuals have to do both contributions, employee and employer. So maybe they haven't been doing the top-ups of both plans. The old age security is based on residency in Canada, how many years of residency in Canada. So a lot of those things you should know ahead of time, or at least ask the questions to know ahead of time what that looks like.
Thank you. It's interesting. There's always something on Facebook about a cartoon about how someone says, I'm going to work until lunch on the day of my retirement, or until the day I die. And I always think, oh, that'll be me. So